Hello students, and welcome back to Hexxit Education. This is lesson number 19, and today we're going to be talking about shields, specifically the shields from the add-on, the mod Asgard Shields, which contains several add-ons which apply to several other mods there in Hexxit. Now, as you've noticed, I'm actually wearing full diamond armor today. And the reason is that we're going to be dealing with shields, which are meant as an addition to armor in the game. Basically, what they do is they give you a chance to have damage not be dealt to your armor or yourself, but to your shield. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. I do want to preface this episode by saying that before I started researching this particular lesson, I knew nothing at all about Asgard Shields. I'd found them in Hexxit. I had them in inventory for a little while. I really did not know how to use them, and so I just never played with them. But now that I'm actually learning how they work, they're actually somewhat simple to use. And if you're willing to sacrifice a hotbar space for a shield, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the effects that carrying a shield can give it especially in tough melee battles like the ones you may find in a battle tower. So without further ado, we're going to go into a lesson on the Asgard Shields, and for this we're going to go over. Not fill again. I gotta put another staircase over there. We're going to go over to our melee weapons department where we have a selection of the shields available. Okay, so here we are. So starting off from the left here, we have the wooden shield. I'm I'll show you how these work. Now, should I do this? Yes. Okay. Do you see right at the bottom of my hotbar right here? That there's a little shield symbol, and you see it's kind of like most of it's grayed out, but a little part at the bottom is starting to, yeah, there we go, it's starting to flash bigger and bigger. That is the indicator for an ability called Vanguard, and that ability is used in any shield that you may use within Asgard Shields mod. And what it does is basically when this meter gets full, and I'll do it in just a moment here, you can shift right click to generate an AoE knockdown, which will temporarily disorient and slow the movement speed of nearby enemies. So if you happen to get into a tight corner, you guys can just back away from you. You can just select your shield, shift right click. And see, there wasn't anything around me, so it didn't really show anything. But it did deplete the shield indicator, and the amount of knockback that it delivers depends on the quality of the shield. So I use it with a wooden shield, and it wouldn't be nearly as good as this, which is a diamond shield. So to start with, to give an overview of the way that Asgard Shields work, there are passive abilities and there are active abilities. The passive ability on all Asgard Shields is that it has a chance for the shield to absorb damage instead of your armor or yourself. And when I say passive, I mean when it is not when you don't have it selected. I have it right now. I have this selected. When I don't have it selected, but it is in your hotbar. I believe, I'm pretty sure about this. If you move. Yeah, if you move this, if you have no shields in your hotbar, then you will not get the Vanguard recharging, and you will not get the passive bonus of the shields, which is the chance for damage not to be hit. However, if you have the shield selected and you hold right click, you can see on the right hand side, I've got those diminishing shield symbols, and it cracked, and then I'm holding it down, but it's not working at all. I'm just want to see if it does it again. Okay, so I'm holding down right, going down to nothing, it's cracking. Going back to about 75%, then started working again. So the mechanic is exactly the same as we talked about with our diamond and ender giant swords during the swords episode. Actually, I'm gonna grab that just to show you an example. And I think, yeah, this is gonna help too. This is now this is a vanilla giant sword. So let's see what happens when vanilla diamond sword. Let's see what happens when I do this. Okay, interesting. So it just grabbed the most recent one. But I'm curious. Okay. Now that's interesting. Now my impression was that the way that this mod worked is that I will automatically pick up when you right click, that is when you have a shield in your hotbar and you hold right click with a vanilla weapon in your hand, it should automatically select the best weapon, the best shield that you have. So it should select the diamond one, but it seems like it's going to the wooden shield. So I'm curious if it might be location. So yes, okay. So here's what you do. What it does is it looks to the left of the weapon you selected. So if I do this, no, it didn't do that. Okay, must be the leftmost side. All right, so in summation, you have a shield and you have a sword. You have a sword in any part of your hotbar. It will look for the one that is on the rightmost of your hotbar. Okay, so lesson learned. Now, one of the things you should note, I'm going to try a diamond sword for a second. Then right click on this. Yes, okay. So the diamond giant sword, even though the giant sword is also part of the Asgard Shields mod, it does not function in tandem with the shield. It functions actually as a replacement. The diamond giant sword is, however, better than almost any vanilla sword you can use. So next thing I want to try out is this. Okay, now this is a fiery sword from Twilight Forest. So if I right click on this, it does work. Okay. So this is one thing I'm not totally clear about. I'm tempted to go through these and check them, but I'm really not sure. I can just keep pulling them off and see what happens. So I've got, okay, so it did work. Okay, so I've got a Freezerite sword, and that worked. I have Kreknorite, which is from Fallen Meteors. So Twilight Forest, the fiery sword works with Asgard Shields. So does the Fallen Meteors. As I said before, the Diamond Giant sword does not. Let me just grab a couple other things, see what I can experiment with it on the fly here. Okay, this will probably not work. This is a broadsword from Tinker's Construct. Yeah, okay, so Tinker's Construct does not work, as to be expected, because they don't function like vanilla swords at all. I know this one works because it's also from Twilight Forest. I'm fairly certain that this one will work, the Living Metal. Yes, the Living Metal does work. That's from Hark Inside. Slime sword. Let's try the blood sword from Natura. See if that works. Yes, the Natura swords do work. I don't think the big swords will work because I don't think they function the same. Like they have their own AOE. Yeah, that's right. So the big swords do not work, but most of these do work. In general, anything that's vanilla-like, I believe anything that doesn't have its own independent right-click ability will work with the shield. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so what I'm doing is I have it in my hand, so I'm fighting, right-click, and it switches this. Right-click again, so it switches back and forth. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm learning here at the same time that you are. So next thing I wanted to test, because I believe this only works with swords. But I do want to check. I think this is a... Okay, so this is a spear. So, yeah. We're going to talk about that in its own episode. But, yeah, I'm fairly certain. I think it's also a spear. Yeah, it only works with swords. That's just the way it works. I mean, it makes sense with, sword and shield kind of thing. I mean, if I were to take a scythe, pretty sure. Yeah, because it has its own ability. Okay, so in general, the shield is the sword's best friend. You can right-click switch between them. So, getting back to our topic on hand. What I have now are the four basic, that's the four vanilla models of the Asgard Shield. And when I first saw these, I was very confused because when I looked at the tooltip, it said special perk, arrow catch, weakness, fire damage. I'm like, what does that mean? How does that function? What's the mechanics behind that? And it's a little bit tricky to understand, especially when you realize that this has another perk, which is, like I said, the passive absorption, which is not always listed. And it does vary slightly for each tool. So I'm going to post right now on the bottom of the screen all the different absorption rates for the shields and Asgard Shield. And you can see the least one is one I have now, the wooden shield that only offers 10% passive damage absorption, going all the way up to the diamond shield, which offers 25% chance. And I'm fairly sure this is on a per strike basis, as far as I understand it. But sorry. Anyway, that is the passive ability. Now we get to the active abilities. So for this, we're actually going to go outside. It is nighttime, which is fortunate, and I'm in survival mode. I'm going to grab a couple of skeleton spawners. Okay, so as you can see on my wooden shield, special perk arrow catch, weakness fire damage. And what that means is that when you are guarding, that is right clicking with there's a creeper. Okay. Didn't expect this. Okay, that was a failure on my part. Sorry about that, students. I'll fix that later. I'll get the groundskeepers to work on it. So, I'll have to avoid it. I'm just going to grab him here. Okay, right click. Okay, look at my inventory. Oh, there we go. I got it. Okay, what I have is a normal wooden shield, which basically means I have a 50% chance for it to catch arrows. And when I don't, you just take one. So it is absorbing damage from the arrows when I manage to catch it. But it also has a chance to actually pick up the arrows that it is being shot at it. Okay, so as you can see, it took quite a bit of a beating out of that. I mean, every took that's about 10% of its durability just off of one skeleton. I mean, obviously you wouldn't be that kind of playing around, but I did manage to catch 5 arrows, which is not too bad. So I just wanted to illustrate to you how that works with the wooden shield. Next up. And sorry, I getting ahead of myself. Sorry. The Asgard Shields, as much as it can be, it tries to be balanced in as much as it can be. So for every special perk, there's also a weakness. And this says weakness fire damage. What this means is that while I understand this, while the arrow catch special perk is only active while the shield is guarding. While the shield is guarding, that is when it's in its active position. If you are caught on fire, this will take durability damage similar to your armor, but at a greatly increased rate. So it will catch on fire, and it will be damaged much more quickly. So when we move on to the stone shield, you can see fire resistant, but weak against explosive damage. So what this means is, see if I can actually arrange this. I think I'm on recipe mode, so yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get myself a flint and steel, and this should work. Actually, I'm going to move my armor just to better illustrate this. So, okay, so I believe what happens. Watch this. Yeah, see that? Oh, okay, it wasn't actually as effective as I thought it was going to be. So right click on that, hold, I think I timed that wrong. What this should be able to do is, I'm going to get close, then right click. Okay, it actually put out the fire, which is similar to right clicking on it. Okay, so what the stone shield should do is that it should take damage on fire, but you see, because I have it on me, there's a pretty good chance that the fire damage I'm taking will be extinguished quickly. And I believe the same thing happens if you were to right click with it. So if you're being shot at with someone who has flaming arrows, that kind of thing, or gas fireballs for that matter. But the problem is that with gas fireballs, this is weak against explosive damage. So while it will not take much damage from the fire, it will take increased durability damage from the explosives. So, like I said, it's a plus and a minus. One thing I should note is that the stone shield and the other shields have significantly higher levels of durability than their lower counterparts. So, the stone shield, actually, that doesn't indicate right now. It's much higher than the durability of the wooden shield, which is only 118. So moving on, we have the iron shield, and you say special perk explosive resistant, but weak against water. Now, explosive resistant basically means that it will take decreased damage from creepers and gas and that kind of thing. The thing is, and this is what I want to experiment with, I believe it's not just water damage that it is weak to. I think it's weak against water. So let's see. Nope. Okay, so I was wrong. I was wrong about that. I apologize. The iron shield will only take damage. It will take increased durability damage from water damage. I'm trying to think of actually any sources of water damage in the world. Possibly some kind of spells being cast, but it's fairly rare. You're pretty safe with an iron shield. But I guess it makes sense because the wooden shield sets on fire. The iron shield will rust. The diamond shield. Special projectile reflect and weakness reflected damage. Basically, what this means is that it has a chance when I'm going to spawn another skeleton to illustrate this, and I'm going to switch back to midnight. Okay, there we go. So there, I got it. So actually fairly close. But what I'm doing is basically smacking with it, my shield. Okay, so what did we learn today? We learned that you can't pick them up actually, but with a diamond shield, you have a chance to have the projectile reflect back. I should put my armor back on. Would have been smart. Yeah, the armor reflect back upon the attacker. Now, unfortunately, it does not reflect it back with the same force that meteor strike. It does not reflect it back with the same force that which was fire, which would be kind of useful. But it does reflect it back, and it could be useful in close range combat. I should also note that it also reflects back, as far as I can tell, blaze fireballs and spells. So that's quite useful when you come into things of that kind. However, the downside is that the damage that is reflected isn't truly reflected. It's cast backwards, that's true, but it also takes extra damage to the shield. So anything you reflect back towards an enemy is actually damage towards the shield and the enemy at the same time. But again, not that bad a deal, considering this thing has pretty high durability to begin with. So pretty much the diamond shield is the best one you can get in terms as far as shields go in Asgard Shields. So those are the four sort of vanilla shields, and so now we're going to talk about the little more unusual ones. Now it's over here. We got. Okay, so first and foremost, we have the nether quartz. Special perk, fire catch. Now I'm actually curious how this functions. So I'm doing something I probably should not do. And you're probably just yelling at me for doing this, but I am kind of curious what this in fact does. And I could not find it online, so I think the best way is just to experiment. So I'm going to head off to the side over here, and hopefully this will not cause too much damage, because I'm going to do something you probably should never do, if at all possible, which is I'm going to summon a ghast fairly close to our overworld campus. So get out of here. Okay, so another quartz shield. Okay, where is the guy? There he is. Oh, he's stuck in the thing. Okay. Give him a line of sight. I was right. Okay. So if you see quickly, you go out of the way, out of range. Okay, so in my inventory, he does in fact drop fire charges, which are the fireballs. Cool. So if you happen to need these, you can use the nether quartz shield to try and catch the charges off of a ghast. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this guy out of our misery. Okay. I'm usually a much better shot than this. Get back here. Come on. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Caused a few more fires than I would have liked, but no harm done. So what have we learned? We've learned that the nether quartz shield can be used to catch fire charges from gas fireballs. Quite useful. And I'm assuming if that's the way it functions with gas fireballs, it would also be the same way with blaze fireballs. So moving on, we now have the skull shield, and this skull shield, if you look over here, says special perk Fear, Weakness, Brittle Bones. Now, what I found out what this means is that it has between a 15 and a 30% chance on some mobs to cause them to run away in fear upon guarding. The downside is that they also have a chance for attacks upon you to deal 3 times normal damage. And one thing I want to try about this, and I think, did I bring it with me? Oh, I left upstairs, but no worries. I'm gonna grab some spider spawners and make it night again, so they aggro. Okay, so apparently, whoa, what the? Alright, and I'm back. I can't really understand what's going on here, really. Let me try this. Don't kill me, don't kill me. This is not the way you fight a spider. Okay, so it looks like it is in fact dealing damage here, but what I was curious about No. Ah. Yeah. Okay. What I was curious about is that I heard a rumor that when you use a skull shield on a spider, there's a chance for the spider to become enraged and deal more damage than usual, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's an ordinary shield. It's not doing a lot of blocking damage. But okay. And then I have to have groundskeepers look at that later on. So, what have we learned? The skull shield, pretty weak weapon. The fear did not work at all, as you saw. Although it could be because it wasn't one of the mobs that the ability works on. So, I'm not recommending that as a viable shield. I am, however, as far as I can understand, I'm going to recommend these. And I'm going to skip ahead to something a little more advanced. We're actually going to cover this in a couple episodes down the line, but I wanted to use these now, and this will have to suffice. Okay, within Harkenset, you have two systems of material consumption, essentially. One of them is blood, and one of them is souls. These souls you can sort of use along this pathway to create living metal ingots, and use living metal ingots to create the living metal shield. And perk on this is Soul Matrix, weakness is Soul Eater. And as far as I can tell, what this means is that I'm not going to spawn a ghast, I'm going to spawn another spider. What it means is that it will consume your souls in order to block. Yeah, I'm taking, while it's working, I'm taking no damage. Oh, there it goes. So it didn't do it immediately, but it took fairly bit of sustained use. Alright, so a fair bit of sustained use, a little bit of durability, and it used one soul in order to keep functioning. And I believe that if I were to remove this, it wouldn't work at all. And I'm back. Okay, so I misunderstood what exactly the living metal shield did, and actually very similar to it is the biomass shield, which is the same kind of function, only for the blood mechanic instead of the souls. What these do is give you a 10% chance while guarding for the shield to summon a barrier around you that will last for several seconds, but it's only a 10% chance, so it's relatively unlikely that I'm going to find it by experimenting in this manner. So I'm just going to say that the biomass shield blood matrix blood drinker is functionally the same as this living metal. You should need to have either a blood keeper, soul keeper, or a soul vessel or blood vessel within your inventory, not your hotbar, but your inventory, in order for it to function and have a chance to create the barrier, which we actually just saw before, because it used up one of the souls in a soul vessel. So feel free to experiment with that at your leisure. So next up, we have the Ender Shield, and I'm going to have to summon another spider for this one. I know you guys are getting sick of spiders, but I want to summon any creepers. It's because I'm likely to blow holes in our campus. Oh, got to put those away, actually. And what this should... There! I did it. Okay. Not exactly the most useful thing in the world, but what it does is... Hang on, let me use this thing. I just use the Vanguard ability. So basically what the Ender Shield does is it has a chance to teleport the enemy away from you. And I think it's in a random direction, fairly close by, limited range. Yeah, I'm just holding it down and it's not working. So it doesn't work all the time, but it has a chance to send the creature away. Not incredibly useful. I mean, as far as fighting stuff goes, you generally want it to be closer so you can hit it with your sword. But it's one of the ones that's available. it can be useful, I suppose, if you're fighting on a cliff face or something similar like that. But in any case, that is the Ender Shield. And you can see it says teleport, displace, and Ender damage. That basically means if you try and use it against an Enderman or the Ender Dragon, for that matter, it will not work at all. You'll take full damage from those. So just don't take it up against the Ender Dragon. Okay, and last, if I can find it in all this mess here, is, here we go, the Patchwork Shield. This is a very strange shield because its perk and its weakness is the same thing, foulness. What this means is you have a 10% chance to cause your enemy to be nauseous. Yep, there he goes. Okay, so it worked on him, and he can't see where I am. A few more seconds. Oh, interesting. Actually, maybe not like me anymore. But you also have an equal chance of it making you nauseous. Okay, this guy's not functioning correctly. I'm going to bring another spider in. It could be that I have too much light, and light level is confusing him. There you go. Okay, so he got nauseous. And so far, I haven't gotten nauseous. I think I just got lucky in that regard. Okay, so in summation, yeah, with the Patchwork Shield, which makes sense, it's actually made out of rotten flesh. You have a chance, and an equal chance to your enemy, to be affected with foulness. And if you notice, the durability is incredibly weak. It's the weakest of all the shields. But I guess, it's kind of interesting to make yourself or others sick during battle. So if that floats your boat, and I'll by all means give it a try. So I believe we've come to the end of our overview on Asgard Shields. Quick summation, because I probably confused you in trying to explain things. There is the passive absorption, which, as I said before, varies between 10% and 25%. That only applies if the shield is in your hotbar. Next, it only works on vanilla or vanilla-like swords. It will automatically preface the sword that is in the rightmost of your hotbar, regardless of where your shield is. And each shield has its own active ability and its own weakness. Some are they're each trade-off depending on what you feel your style is. But in general, you should go for the ones with the minimum weakness and maximum benefit, depending on, like I said, your own personal style. Oh, of course, I'm sorry. There's one very, very important thing. I should have told you in the beginning. The elephant in the room here. Okay, this up here is the Gilded Diamond Shield. And how you make these... Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it did actually fix that. Excellent. So, as of the version of Asgard Shield that is in Hexxit, you cannot craft any of the gilded shields. In later versions, you can simply by taking the normal version of the shield. For example, taking the Patchwork Shield, which is just a whole bunch of rotten flesh, and covering it, put it here, covering it with the same pattern of gold. However, in this version of Hexxit, you cannot craft the gilded shield. And in general, the gilded shields are just upgraded versions of the normal shields, and that applies to all of the ones I've gone over with. Basically, for example, with the where is it? With the Patchwork Shield, right now you have a 10% chance to cause foulness either way. With the Gilded, it's 20% chance. I believe it also increases the durability. With the with the biomass for living metal shield, I think it's a 20% chance instead of a 10% chance to have the special perk activate. Essentially, the gilded shields increase the proc chance for the special perks to activate, but I believe it also increases the chance for the weakness to activate. So it's a trade-off there. But like I said, right now these are not craftable, so you can only find them in chests, and they're actually fairly common in chests. So you'll more than likely come across these as you play, and I recommend you try them out. If nothing else, having it in your inventory, if you're using a regular sword, is fairly useful. If you happen to have already made a diamond sword, though, I'd recommend just using the giant sword, because it doesn't take up a second inventory space. You don't have the trade-offs. Only one downside is you don't have the Vanguard ability, but then again, you also have a massive damage dealer, so it doesn't exactly compensate for this. But if you're still early in the game, you still haven't made it on a giant sword, you can certainly use a shield in combination with a sword and just live out your D&D fantasies in Hexxit. So we've come to the end of our lesson on the Asgard Shields in Hexxit. I hope you give them a try, and that you enjoyed today's lesson. And as always, class dismissed.